Dear Diary, welcome back! In this episode I want to share all the drama of my different stages during the lengthy sanding and painting episodes I've had to endure. And when I say lengthy, I mean months of it. Months of dust, months of grinding, months of Graham muttering things like, just one more patch. Which, dear viewers, is a lie sailors and DIYers have told themselves since the beginning of time. It all started with sanding my keel. All that old anti-foul and barnacles needed to come off. Honestly, some of those barnacles had probably lived longer on me than Graham and Rachel had owned a kettle. Out came the wire brush, and I took all my surface rust back to bare metal. Not exactly a spa treatment, more like industrial exfoliation. Once the rust was gone, they used marine epoxy to fill the areas so everything would be level with the paint. Then it was sand back to smooth again. Then came Jotin 88 as a primer and undercoat. Look at them, throwing around fancy paint names like they know what they're doing.
Keel, few little spots. There's one there where somebody's repaired it before, but little dots, so just me being pedantic. Another one dot, no, that's on the keel. And again, here's me just smoothing it off, trying to make it neater. See a bit of that side. You can see me just smoothing it off both sides. But all sanded, ready for painting.
After everything below the waterline was completed, they started on the main part of my body, the section that would live above the waterline. Now here's the thing, dear viewers. As you can see, I actually started to look worse as they went along. All that sanding exposed rust patches. Some shallow, some deeper, some that made Graham stare at them for a long time, while Rachel quietly asked, "Is that supposed to look like that?" Which is never a sentence a boat enjoys hearing.
Right, so at the back there you'll see there's two rust bits, with one in the middle with epoxy. The bottom one's been sanded a bit, needs a bit more. The top one needs a lot of sanding. These have all been prepared for watertight epoxy. That's been prepared and sanded, hence it's shiny, back to bare metal. Another little one over there. Water also again, that's shiny back to bare metal. And this was all prepared yesterday, but I didn't get time to do the epoxy. And you can see how it flashed over, which basically means started rusting again over one night. So it looked like that yesterday. I woke up to it looking like that today. So I've just got to go over it again before I can epoxy. Now I know some people say you should allow it to flash over, which is what that is, and then epoxy or paint, which I personally disagree with, so that's not what I'm doing. And then one last little one there. Right, so that's where I am so far.
At times, Graham looked like a blue Smurf with all that sanded old paint covering him. Honestly, if they had just given him a white hat and some tiny trousers, he could have joined the Smurf village.
Right, as we're going along here, I've come across that arrow there. Followed, which is roughly that distance from the front. This is the sanding down I've been doing, as you can see the difference. And there's another arrow there. And if I tilt it, you'll see it's from the back. I'm just wondering what those arrows are for. But they're all nicely sanded there. And you'll see, if you look carefully, you'll see it like patchy movements. There's still a little. When I was first figuring out how much I need to go down. But then from there onwards, she's sanded, ready for painting.
Sanding also exposed my many different colours over the years. Look at that! Yellow, blue, green, white, black and grey. Doesn't that look beautiful? It's like a rainbow of questionable paint decisions from the previous decades of my life. Next up, my anchor came down from the bowsprit, and oh my, there was a lot of rust here. That was sanded down, epoxy applied again, more sanding and painted over. The plan is to buy a new anchor chain once everything is finished and they start putting me back together again. Which is good, because my old chain looked like it had held me safe in many anchorages for a long time.
21 sanding disc later, and quite a bit of work today, so you can have a look on the hull. This is on the left hand side, being the port side. All sanded, left little gaps where I'm going to take it back to bare metal. Obviously there's a few patches here and there on this side. But that's my work today. I've only got that little bit in the front to do and a little bit on the other side.
Like, I'm just unsupervised, like, all the time.
After all that sanding, Graham had great fun washing me down with a high pressure cleaner. He looked like a kid with a new toy. Water everywhere, paint flakes flying, Rachel shouting from a distance, "Don't spray me!" But actually, that cold water felt great on the few warm days we had that year. Then I was rubbed down with acetone before the painting could finally begin, which smelt intense, but apparently very necessary. Oh, quick interruption, apologies. If you've watched this far, I must assume you're either very invested in my glow-up, or you simply enjoy watching Graham slowly turn into a blue Smurf while sanding me. Either way, could you please do me a huge favour? Press that subscribe button. It's completely free for you, but it really helps my story get shown to more viewers, and the more people who see me, the better chance we have of finding my original owners and uncovering my history. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Right, now where were we? Ah, yes, Graham attacking my hull with yet another power tool. Now, believe it or not, before painting, there was even more sanding. First up was sanding below the waterline of my hull, getting rid of all those barnacles and old anti-foul. Then loads and loads and loads more sanding. At this point, I was beginning to suspect that Graham secretly enjoys sanding. Dear Diary, now let's take a brief moment for a little thing called hindsight. Looking back, Graham and Rachel probably should have just sandblasted my entire hull in 2 days, taken me right back to bare metal, revealed any welding that needed doing, fixed it all up properly, and then started fresh with loads of lovely layers of paint from the bottom up. You know, the efficient way. But at the time, they didn't think that was necessary, because from the outside I only seemed to have the odd little rust spot here and there. Oh, how adorable their optimism was. Of course, once the sanding actually began, well, let's just say a few more rusty surprises revealed themselves along the way. Hindsight really is a wonderful thing, isn't it? But here we are now. Every single inch of me has been hand sanded, slowly, painfully, very, very thoroughly. And while it might have taken longer, Graham has now become intimately familiar with every bump, weld, dent and curve of my steel body. Honestly, at this point, he probably knows me better than he knows Rachel. Now, once the sides were done, it was time to pull the side supports off so that they could work behind where the fenders had been holding me in place for all these years. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, quite a bit of rust underneath there too. It felt like I had to look worse first before I could look better. Like they were exposing all my ugly truth and bare bones underneath the paint. Very dramatic, very vulnerable.
Now to put it back. 13 discs later for just a front little section. Right, last and final one.
Suffocating in the open air, help a stranger in a mirror land. Caught my wide eyes wanna disappear, not a predator between my hands. Oh, the clock is an unforgiving warden who watches as I'm off mistaken. Is it deep enough to
21 sanding discs later, and quite a bit of work today, so you can have a look on the hull. This is on the left hand side, being the port side, all sanded, left little gaps where I'm going to take it back to bare metal. Obviously there's a few patches here and there on this side. But that's my work today. I've only got that little bit in the front to do and a little bit on the other side.
Now, it was at this point that Graham thought it was a good idea to have the holders for my anodes re-welded so that they'd be easier to change once I'm back in the water, which meant my very first welder visit. And I must say it was quite tickly, but actually also rather nice, like a spa treatment, if spas involve sparks and protective helmets. But what do I know?
Right, so these are the brackets that were welded on to hold the anodes in place. And basically what happens is they got a bolt went through here and then a nut on that, go through the anode and then a nut. So we've welded grounded these off and welded studs in place like that, so that we can, let me go around this side. Fit our anodes like that. You can just see they just slide like that, and the nuts are easy to be replaced when you're out at sea. Out sailing, as I say. But yeah, that's it there.
Now that was done, they started painting me properly. First came the grey primer undercoat. By the end of that stage, I looked like a warship. Honestly, if they'd left me like that, I might have been shipped off to the Middle East to help with the current conflicts. And I don't think Graham is ready for that kind of adventure. Meanwhile, my rudder was also getting some attention. Water kept seeping out of it. Not ideal, but eventually it was cleaned up, repaired and painted. And I must say, I looked quite smart, don't you think?
Right, so rudder all smoothed off, so there was lots of ridges in that. So it's all been filled in. And go the other side. You can see the same. Come back a bit. So basically, you have ridges going in here, along here. So now it's all smooth. So as the water goes over it, go over nice and smooth. Just neatened it up. I know it doesn't need to be done really, but the smoother it is, the better she goes through the water. Okay, so putting on Jotun tire coat, sets in 20-30 minutes. It's about the third coat going on here. And the more coats of paint, the more waterproof it becomes. So this is more of an undercoat primer, and it ties different paints together, different materials. So then I can paint anything on top of it. Well, not anything. You can't put it's only for single ply. Single ply? I can't think now.
Are we still going to put our white on top? Or
Yes.
actually anti-foul's going on top there.
No, white, then anti-foul.
Okay, white and then anti-foul.
Anti-foul below the waterline.
Well, this is below the waterline, right? So it's still going to get...
Yeah, white first, because I'm using a white waterproof paint, completely waterproof, and then anti-foul on top of that. Starting to clean again. I'm not too worried about a couple of lines that have run, because it's going to all be done over with white. I need more paint. Can you go get me that tin out?
And then finally, after weeks and months of sanding, dust, epoxy, pressure washing, more sanding, and Graham turning into different shades of blue, we finally got a whole week of good weather. And that meant one thing and one thing only: white paint! So exciting! I went from grey warship vibes to my first coats of bright white. Still a bit patchy, still needing more coats, but oh, what a difference! Oh dear diary, for the first time in a long time, I could almost see the new version of me starting to appear. Still lots of work ahead, but progress, real progress. Now Rachel still wants to paint me in different colourful Parrot colours. What do we think? Should we let her do it? Which colour do you think I'd look best in? Green, orange, red or yellow? Please put your choice of my colours in the comments below.
What we opening here today?
Expensive paint.
You can say that again.
One document for you.
So this is coat 3
Gelatin TC.
and coat 4. So four coats of this. That'll be 4 tins, right?
Yep.
We've used 1 tin so far for each
Side.
Each side, yeah.
4 tins, maybe they need more.
Oh, last one, maybe. Final coat was one last one. Make her looking sexy and white, white, white. Soon, soon, soon. Look, you can see the streaks. She does actually need another few coats.
Now remember why Graham and Rachel are putting my story on YouTube in the first place. We're trying to find my original owner, the person who named me Parrot, the person who might know where I was built, where I sailed, and how I eventually ended up here in Preston, the UK. So if you recognise me or know someone who might, please reach out. Ask your granddad, your local marina gossip, your salty ex. Help me remember who I am. Please help piece together my history before I ended up here in Preston. Signing off for now, but do tune in next time when they start renovating my bathroom and I'll somehow end up having a photo shoot with a skeleton. Yes, you heard that correctly. Until next time, Parrot